Every employer in the state of Minnesota is liable for potential workers' compensation benefits. Now, I say potential because, again, when we look at every individual's case, when someone walks in, we have to assess, are they an employee of an employer? Because the statute requires that you be an employee of an employer. Now, why is that important? Well, if you're a casual employee, if you're somebody, maybe you were just asked to do a task, right? And you're earning a de minimis amount, for those activities. You may not be an employee under the statute. You may be an independent contractor. If you're an independent contractor, you are not covered under Minnesota workers' compensation. Now, if you have a separate policy, all right, as an independent contractor, well then yeah, then you are. But typically, the policies as written for employers typically don't cover those, all right? And there's other exceptions for certain volunteers, for certain farmsteads. So there are exceptions as to whether you are an employee. But in most cases, if you are hired by an employer, working with an employer either here in Minnesota or another state, and you either get injured here in Minnesota or another state, you could potentially have the ability to recover workers' compensation benefits for a compensable injury. So when we say who is liable, that's going to be the workers' compensation insurer. Now, when we list, typically when we file a claim, or if you're in the work comp system, you're going to see two entities. You're going to see an employer, and then you're going to see the insurer. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, is that I came from a small family-run business of restaurants, and when my father had a work comp claim brought against him, he felt that it was brought against him personally. Now, me being more knowing and more knowledgeable with regards to the workers' compensation system, is that this wasn't against him, it was against the insurance company. And that was what he had paid his premiums for. That's what he was required under the law to have. So it wasn't an attack against him, it wasn't an attack against his business, but this was insurance. And we carry insurance for a variety of reasons. We're required under the law to have motor vehicle accident, we may have homeowners, we may have rental insurance, we may have life insurance. Heck, I've got life insurance. I'm never going to enjoy it, right? Because I'm going to be dead in order for it to be paid out. But again, we carry those insurances for those reasons. Just like health insurance, we carry it if we need to go to the doctor, and the risk that we run by not having it. And that's the same with an employer. And so those employers, they cover it, and then they are responsible. Now, there may be situations where an employer is self-insured, and they may have to then pay as an employer. But again, there are requirements under the law in order to be categorized as self-insured. So they need to have enough money in the bank in order to be able to be self-insured under those circumstances. So again, that's something that they've accounted for, and that's something that they're prepared for. So again, some people feel like, hey, am I making this direct claim or attacking against my employer? I say no. All right, but I can also understand that's part of the equation in determining whether you move forward, because they feel that there's going to be retribution or that they're going to be attacked or look differently. And what I can tell you is that if you don't bring your claim for workers' compensation, the court, all right, the work comp system is not going to look at you in a different manner. In other words, you don't get any bonus points by saying, you know what, I didn't bring my claim because of, I felt like they were going to retaliate against me. That is not a viable excuse. And so I tell people that you have to invoke your right, and the law sets forth parameters for you to do that. And failure to do that within a certain amount of time, as required under the statute of limitations and reporting requirements, you can lose out. So when we start talking about who's liable, and if we concern ourselves too much with that and then fail to take the appropriate actions to move our case forward and to get the benefits that you're supposed to, you can lose out on a lot. And so again, as I always tell people, talk with an experienced work comp lawyer, because you want to make sure that you understand the risks associated with whether to bring a claim or not bring a claim. And our office will tell you if you need a lawyer or not.